Hi everyone, I hope you're enjoying your break. We're going to continue reading chapter 5. Alex and Connor are starting to learn a little bit more about the Land of Stories and where they have fallen into. And where we left off was Froggy was kind of describing all the different kingdoms. And what's really cool is in the book, they have a map of all the different kingdoms. So you can see what he was listing. So you have the Elf Empire, the Dwarf Forests, the Corner Kingdom, the Charming Kingdom, the Little Red Riding Hood Kingdom, the Northern Kingdom. Up here it says a hidden place. We have the Sleeping Kingdom, Troll and Goblin Territory, the Fairy Kingdom, and then it says Mermaid Bay. So, maybe every so often I'll kind of open this up while we're reading just so you can kind of see where we're at. So right now, they're here in the Dwarf Forest. So let's see what happens to Alex and Connor today. Why are there a bunch of rocks around the Troll and Goblin territory? Connor asked. As punishment, Froggy said. Trolls and goblins are nasty creatures and have a habit of kidnapping people and turning them into slaves. The Fairy Council forced the trolls and goblins into one territory, and none of them are allowed to leave without permission. Fairy Council? Alex asked. This world was almost too good to be true. Yes, they're a group of the most powerful fairies of the kingdoms, Froggy explained. Cinderella's fairy godmother is one of them, and so is Mother Goose, and all the fairies that blessed Sleeping Beauty when she was a baby are on it, too. They rule the fairy kingdom and are the leaders of the Happily Ever After assembly. Is the Red Riding Hood kingdom under some sort of punishment too? Connor asked. Why is there a huge wall built around it? Alex looked down at the map and back up at Froggy, equally curious. That was a result of the Crawl Revolution, Froggy said. What was the Crawl Revolution? Alex asked. The citizen riots against wolf liberty, Froggy explained. The Red Riding Hood Kingdom used to be a group of villagers in the Northern Kingdom that were constantly under attack by wolves. They begged the evil queen, Snow White's stepmother, who was on the throne at the time, to help them. But the evil queen was too occupied with her vanity, so they revolted and started their own kingdom. They built a huge wall around it so no wolves could get in. And now Red Riding Hood is the queen? Alex asked. Yes, she's the only elected queen in history, Froggy said. The villagers figured her story was the most symbolic of their struggle, so they chose her to lead them. But isn't she just a little girl? Alex asked. No, she's a young woman now, a very self-obsessed young woman, from what I hear. After all, she named the kingdom after herself. Her grandmother does most of the decision-making, while she takes all the credit, Froggy said. Unfortunately, the Crawl Revolution only led to the rise of the Big Bad Wolf Pack. The Big Bad Wolf Pack? Connor asked. Yes, they're the descendants of the original Big Bad Wolf. They travel around terrorizing villages and attacking unsuspecting travelers, Froggy said. Oh, joy, Connor said sarcastically. I'm sorry I asked. But besides that, things are very peaceful throughout the kingdoms, Froggy said. His voice drifted off and uncertainty grew on his face. That was until a week ago. The twins leaned forward. What happened a week ago? Alex asked. The evil queen escaped from the dungeons of Snow White's palace, Froggy told them. I thought everyone had heard. It's news to us, Connor said. That can't be good, Alex said. How'd she escape? No one knows, Froggy said. She's just vanished along with her magic mirror. Snow White's army has been searching throughout all the kingdoms for her. They pass through these woods at least twice a day. So far, they found nothing, not even a footprint, to lead them in her direction. Do you think they're going to find her? Connor asked. I hope so, Froggy said. She's a very dangerous woman. She's the only queen in history to lose her throne. I couldn't imagine the revenge she must be seeking. Who knows what she's planning to do next? Alex suddenly became very tense. It had just occurred to her that, along with all the characters she had grown up loving, all the ones she hated and feared actually existed. It made her feel very uneasy and very unsafe. The fire in the fireplace began to fade, and Froggy got up to add another log. The twins' eyes and mouths were wide open, and their heads were spinning from all of this new information. Exactly how far away do you live from here? Froggy asked as he sat back down across from them. The twins looked to each other, back at Froggy, and then back at each other. They didn't know what to tell him. Would he believe them if he told the truth? It's practically a different world, Connor said. Alex shot him a dirty look and then nervously laughed, trying to make light of what her brother had just said. Froggy wasn't laughing. He sat straight up in his seat, and his face grew very still, with an intensity in his eyes, as if he had found the solution to a mystery. Interesting, Froggy said, eyeing the twins back and forth, because if I didn't know better, just from the way you dress and the way you speak, and the way you were so surprised at basic history, I would say that there was a very good chance you are indeed from a different world. They didn't understand what he was trying to say. Did he know something that they didn't? Just out of curiosity, have you ever heard of another world? Alex asked him. Oh, preferably how to get back to it, Connor added. The frogs studied their faces even more intently for a moment. He got up again and went to a bookshelf on the far side of the room. He rustled through the books looking for something of special interest. Finally, he found it, a small leather-bound journal with a red band around it. Have either of you ever heard of the wishing spell? Froggy asked the twins. Alex and Connor shook their heads. Froggy flipped through the pages of the journal. I assumed not, he said. It's a legendary spell comprised of a list of items, and apparently when you put the items together, you are granted one wish. It doesn't matter how extravagant the wish is, the wishing spell will grant it. Many people believe that it's only a myth, and I did too, until I found this journal. What does the journal have to do with anything? Connor asked. It was written by a man from the Charming Kingdom, Froggy said. He managed to discover what these items were, and he recorded his journey to find them. His one wish to reunite with the woman he loved, and in the journal he claimed she lived in another world. Alex and Connor sat straight up. They were sitting on the edges of their seats without realizing it. I thought the man writing the journal was crazy. I didn't believe another world could exist until I found your books, Alex. And then when I saw you bickering in the forest, I knew you two were different, Froggy said. I knew you had to be from the place that the man had written about. The twins were happy the truth was out. Froggy seemed genuinely excited about the whole thing. Did he make it? Alex asked. Did the man cross over into the other world? He must have, Froggy said. The journal ends when he found the last item. Froggy handed the twins the journal and took a seat in his chair. Wherever you're from, if it's home that you wish to go back to, I think your best chance is to follow this journal. The twins went silent for a moment. They stared down at the journal in his hands with immense hope. What items does the spell require? Alex asked. All sorts, from all over, Froggy told her, but the journal gives great instructions on where and how to find them. Some of them are very dangerous to get to. Of course they are, Connor said. Typical. If the spell will grant whatever you wish, why didn't you search for the items and wish to be human again? Alex asked Froggy. Froggy thought about this for a moment. It was a question he had asked himself many times, and he was ashamed of the answer. I've kept the journal all these years in case I ever decided to, Froggy explained with difficulty. But searching for the items would mean I'd have to face the world looking like this. And frankly, children, that's something I'm not ready to do. It's something I don't think I'll ever be able to do. He spoke from a place of deep sadness. Clearly, he wasn't finished learning the witch's lesson yet. It's getting late, Froggy said. Why don't you sleep on it and decide what you want to do in the morning? You're welcome to stay here as long as you'd like. Thank you, Alex said. I hope we aren't a bother. No bother at all, Froggy smiled earnestly. Froggy got them a large blanket to share. He blew out all the lamps and put the fire in the fireplace. Alex and Connor tossed and turned with thoughts of the wishing spell all night. There was no decision to make. If the journal offered a possible way home, they would have to do anything and everything it instructed them to. They had no choice. They were about to embark on the greatest scavenger hunt of their lives. And that's the end of chapter 5. You'll have to wait until tomorrow to find out what happens.